Are you like me and sometimes you just need a little bit of Lord of the Rings? Well, Lord of the Rings Shadow of War is certainly a game for you. This game came out 7 years ago, and yes, we're going to be doing a full review talking about just how good this game is and if it is worth playing today. Hello and welcome to the Critically Curious. Yes, today we are doing a review for Lord of the Rings Shadow of War. Now, this is a game that was published by Warner Brothers Game and it was developed by Monolith Productions. And if you have never played this game before, you are missing out because it is one hell of a gem. This is an action open world RPG. It came out around the same kind of time as Assassin's Creed Black Flag, as Batman the Arkham series. It kind of has very familiar mechanics between those two games. You got the whole climbing parkour side of it. You've got this very similar fighting combat style as well, where you can spam kind of a counter attack and it makes you feel ultra powerful as you fend off wave after wave of enemies. And although those other games are good, this game just hits different. I feel like what makes it different from all the other games is the nemesis system that was created for this series. It's such an interesting thing where if you die in combat, that's not the end of the game. No. In many cases, that's the beginning of the game, because that's where you get some real RNG. If you die to a regular orc or a troll, whatever it is, it levels up. It uses your death, its victory, as a bragging right. It becomes a captain in the armies of Mordor, and you have to hunt that orc down and claim revenge, which is pretty interesting. More onto that, you have to forge your own army and conquer the fortresses and dominate Mordor yourself. And in order to do that, you're going to have to hunt down captains and war chiefs and figure out how to kill these super powerful orcs. And of course, this is Lord of the Rings. You do have a fair few familiar faces jumping in too, which is kind of awesome. Fighting on, right next to Gondor with them as your allies is pretty awesome. And being able to explore the world of Lord of the Rings, be able to go behind enemy lines in Mordor is just fantastic. You also get a very unique chance to get a behind the scenes look into some characters and some lore that isn't necessarily in the main movies. This is lore that is a part of the books. Many people haven't read the books, and therefore a lot of this stuff they're just not gonna know. And it really is absolutely fascinating as well. Like the cutscenes, the story that this game has to offer is truly an amazing story. Now, this game will set you back around £45 depending on which platform you're buying it on. It's pretty much available on everything as well. It's also a part of a Game Pass. It can go on sale, and it can go on sale for quite a lot of quite cheaply these days, it being now 7 years old. Of course, I believe I picked it up recently, the complete collector's edition with all the DLCs, for around £5, so it really can be up there for cheap. And for that price, you are looking at a huge game. This is one of those games that never really ends unless you want it to end, because there are so many different little things to do. Hunting down those captains is kind of something that just never stops if you don't want it to. Or of course, you could plow through the main story, complete it in around 25 hours, but there is over 100 hours of extra stuff there for you to do and more. Honestly, for me though, it's the nemesis system which is something that just keeps getting you to come back, because it gives you a unique story. No two playthroughs will ever be the same, because surely then you're not going to die by the same enemy the same way in a brand new playthrough, because it's kind of an organic growing world. And the leveling system is fascinating. There are a ton of levels to get in this game. Some of these features and skills are unlocked through the main story itself, but you have a massive control over how and what you want to level, what abilities that you want to have next. Those abilities can massively change how you play your game as well. And this is an absolutely huge world. And while riding mounts around the world, including Drake's, is certainly an option, fast travel is probably necessary in this game. Now, we've already touched on it briefly, but the cutscenes and the voice acting in this game are phenomenal. You are met by a lot of familiar faces, especially if you're familiar with Lord of the Rings. However, every single cutscene that comes on is a cutscene that you want to dive into, and sometimes you just don't want to end.
In a bygone age, my army marched on Mordor. We buried our honored dead in barrows like this one. Our greatest warriors are preserved here, protected by powerful magic. And we used all our arts to bring the virtues of the elves with us as we marched.
And you had the One Ring.
Personally, I hadn't played this game since release, and it was such a joy to just dive back into this world. And it's one that I can highly recommend to fans out there. Now, like I said, this game does have a very familiar mechanic where you can tap Y or triangle depending on which platform you're playing it on, and you can pretty much counter most attacks. However, the combat system is a little bit more complicated than that, because there's so much more you can do. You can absolutely stealth your way through a lot of this game. You can interrogate orcs as well as use a variety of different weapons. You've got your basic sword attacks, your heavy attacks, you've got dominating ability. In other words, you've got a chance to possess that person and make them fight for you. You can summon allies, you've got your bow as well, and a variety of different skills on top of all of that, just to kind of add to this combo. There's also other things around the map which will actually attack the forces of Sauron too. Meaning, if you've got a keen eye for detail, you can engineer an advantage in almost any single battle that you come across. And the parkour, the ability to traverse the different heights in the maps, really, really well done. It's all so well connected. This game is certainly not something that is flat, that's for sure. If you've got an eye for detail, you can do some pretty amazing things in this game, or at least some pretty cool things that look good on camera. For a game that is so old, I had no problems whatsoever playing it on the Xbox Series S. The console handled this game beautifully. I had no issues whatsoever, no dashboarding or glitches or game breaking bugs or anything like that. This is a smooth game and a great experience if you like single player games. And because of all of that, and of course this is Lord of the Rings we're talking about here, I'm going to give this game a very strong 9 out of 10. Everyone already knows this is a great game. It is now on Game Pass. You can pick it up for absolute peanuts when it's on sale. And it's just one that I would recommend playing if you're like me right now, have a little bit of extra time on your hands, and you're looking for a good game to just dive right on into. One thing I haven't touched on just yet is actually the loot system. This game does have a loot system in a sense that you will kill enemies, and you'll kill higher leveled enemies, like for instance captains and war chiefs, stuff like that. They will drop unique weapons, unique clothes, and that will have a physical appearance on the screen where you can tell that your item is different and new and shiny, and you have a real good option to customize your character. There's even unique armor sets that you can hunt down in this game too, so if you don't want to hit that main story, you've got other things to look at as well. And if you've stuck around to the very end of this review, a big thank you to you. Don't forget to comment Red Banana down below, just to confuse all those people new to the channel or that didn't watch to the very end. We also have an active and growing Discord. You find a link for that down in the description of the video. Until next time, I've been a Mark, you've been a Critically Curious, and I'll see you in the next video real soon. Until then, take it easy and don't forget to subscribe.